Welcome to Southern Area Oil Operations, the key production region for Saudi Aramco. Our safety vision at Southern Area Oil Operations is to complete each day incident and injury-free. Because of this, we have implemented several measures for your and everyone else's safety. No one will be allowed to work in a Southern Area Oil Operations plant and field sites until he has successfully passed the Safety Orientation Awareness Program. This safety vision extends to all our employees, newcomers, contractors, and visitors, which provides effective measures on how to prevent accidents and how to react in the case of emergencies to ensure the safety of employees and property. Here at Southern Area Oil Operations, compliance with our security regulations and visitor sign-in and sign-out procedures are mandatory throughout our plants. Access to some Southern Area Oil Operations plants is achieved by the use of ID Smart Card, while others still use the manual record procedure. While at work at our plants and fields, there are rules that apply to clothing and personal protective equipment, known as PPE. Fire-resistant clothing must always be worn. Approved hard hats must be used. Metallic hats are prohibited. Hearing protection must be used in noisy areas to prevent damage to the ears. Safety eyeglasses are mandatory. Regular sunglasses are not permitted. Transparent glasses must be worn at night so you can see properly. Proper gloves should be used while jobs are performed that could expose hands to injury. Each job has a different kind of hazard, so use the correct gloves for a specific job, whether it be chemical, hot service, or cooled service. Only approved safety shoes or boots can be worn. In certain areas, you may be asked to wear additional PPE items. Face shields must be worn where flying objects could enter the eye or injure the face. Special protective equipment must be worn when handling hazardous materials as specified by Saudi Aramco chemical hazard bulletins. To guard against electrical flashovers when working on switchgear and breakers, you must wear a face shield, rubber gloves, and footwear. These items will protect you against electrical shocks and burns. Only mobile phones without a camera are allowed into a plant, but can only be used in designated areas. You must never take a mobile phone into a processing area. You are not allowed to take photographs unless you have the permission of the plant management. Smoking is only allowed in designated areas. The same restriction applies to eating and resting. It is prohibited to eat or rest in unauthorized areas. When using stairways, use the handrail, taking one step at a time. Padlocks and hold tags are used to ensure lockout and isolation, making sure an unauthorized person cannot turn on an isolated system. Therefore, you should never try to operate anything with a danger do not touch tag. Use the proper tools and equipment to do a job. Homemade tools are prohibited. Any work at our plants and fields requires a work permit.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Welcome. What can I help you?
I would have to get one work permit, sir.
Where location is one?
And before a work permit can be issued, a designated place of work must be jointly inspected by both the issuer and receiver. Both the issuer and the receiver must check the work permit certifications before the permit is signed.
Okay, sir.
Let's go outside to do a site inspection.
There are 4 types of work permits. A Saudi Aramco hot work permit is issued for any work which involves sparks, flames, or heat sufficient to cause ignition. A Saudi Aramco cold work permit is issued for any work that does not produce sufficient heat to ignite flammable materials. A Saudi Aramco release permit is issued for any work where the actual or possible release of flow flash liquids could create a hazard. A Saudi Aramco confined space permit is issued for personnel entry into any space, structure, tanks, vessels, vault, and excavation trenches more than 4 feet deep. Even if you do have a confined space work permit, the standby man can stop any work and activities and evacuate all personnel if the work environment changes. Before any excavation work can be done, all utilities and lines must be properly identified and appropriate parties notified. Qualified personnel shall test and monitor the atmosphere for combustibles, toxic gases, or low oxygen. Ensure there is no water seepage into the excavation. Only authorized personnel shall enter the excavation. A standby man should always be present and know who is working in the excavation. Ladders shall be promptly available throughout all occupied excavations. Emergency rescue equipment shall be immediately available for excavations considered as confined spaces. There are 4 important steps to take in proper electrical energy isolation: lock, tag, clear, and try. 1. Lock out the energy source after it has been properly de-energized. Typically, this is done at a breaker. 2. Tag the lock properly to indicate why and when the specific piece of equipment was locked out. 3. Clear the piece of equipment and work area of personnel and tools. 4. Try to start the piece of equipment in electrical isolation mode. If it does not start, the job has been done properly. All these 4 steps are important for your safety. Remember, lock, tag, clear, and try. Before using a ladder, inspect it to ensure that it is not broken or has any missing parts. Make sure all ladders can extend 3 feet above the landing place, work platform, or point of support. When working near energized electrical equipment, always use a dry wooden ladder. Never use a metallic ladder or a wet wooden one, as these can conduct electricity. In a vehicle, both the driver and all passengers must wear seatbelts. While driving, you must not exceed the posted speed limit or use a mobile phone. In all of our plants, designated parking areas are provided for vehicles. Never park a vehicle in an unauthorized area. As a part of your duties, you might have to travel to the field for inspection, gather information, or conduct fieldwork activities. Most of the field sites are far from paved roads. To reach these off-the-road sites, you will have to use a 4x4 vehicle. Before going off-road, make sure that the vehicle is in a good working condition. Plan out your route before going and make sure that your communication equipment is working properly. Driving off-road can offer many challenges, so make sure to have good off-road driving skills and know what to do if your vehicle breaks down. You should be aware of all environmental hazards, harsh terrain, and animals. When scaffolds are required, they must be properly designed, erected, and inspected by a Saudi Aramco certified supervisor inspector using an approved checklist. After the inspection, a certified inspection tag, red, green, or yellow, must be visually displayed on the scaffolding. A red scaffold tag indicates the scaffold has not been inspected and is not safe to use except by the scaffolders erecting the scaffold. A green scaffold tag indicates that the scaffold is complete, has been inspected, and is safe for use. Its inspection tag is valid for 2 weeks. A yellow scaffold tag indicates the scaffold has been inspected, but can only be used by those workers operating with a properly anchored personal fall arrest system, which must include a full body harness and lanyard. Similar to a green scaffold tag, the yellow scaffold tag is valid for 2 weeks. Unless a crane operator and his riggers have the proper certification, they will not be permitted to work in any Southern Area Oil Operations plants and field sites. All crane activities must be guided by a left plan sheet signed by the maintenance engineer. All Saudi Aramco, contractor, mobile, or fixed cranes must be inspected prior to operation using a daily inspection checklist. All cranes must have and display a valid inspection sticker. All the items of a crane, hook, spreader bars, suspended personnel platforms, and baskets must also have a valid inspection sticker from a Saudi Aramco certified inspector. At Southern Area Oil Operations, we are fully prepared to deal with any emergency, including fire or explosion, flammable vapor release, chemical spills, and toxic vapor release, such as hydrogen sulfide. Several types of alert sounds are used to notify personnel in case of an emergency. Please listen to these alert sounds carefully. Stop work alert. General emergency alert. Combustible gas release alert. H2S release alert. All clear signal. It could be good to know that all alert sounds are tested throughout our plants periodically. In the event that an emergency would occur in one of our plants, like an H2S release, which is the example here, our reporting procedures should be as follows. Using the nearest Gatronics or radio, report the incident to the operator in the central control room. Say, "This is an emergency." Identify the incident location. Describe the incident. Report any injuries. State the wind direction. Give your name and badge number. Repeat all the information. Wait until the operator ends your call. In case of an emergency, dial Saudi Aramco emergency phone number 110. When an emergency condition exists, or in the case of fire or a dangerous situation, you must stop work immediately and shut down all unnecessary equipment. During any emergency, all work permits are canceled. If driving, park off the road, turn off the engine, and leave the ignition keys in the vehicle, ensuring that the door is left unlocked. Get to the nearest emergency assembly area. As it is very important that your path does not cross the incident zone, make sure to go crosswind until safe to move upwind to an assembly point. Never attempt to rescue a H2S victim without self-contained breathing apparatus. H2S is a highly flammable, toxic, colorless, transparent gas. It is heavier than air and may accumulate in low places. Do not rely on your sense of smell to detect H2S. However, at a low concentration, H2S smells like rotten eggs. Emergency assembly areas are located throughout our plants and are within easy walking distance from all workplaces. Do a head count and report any missing persons. If someone is missing, report him to the incident commander, whereupon a rescue party will be sent out to search for him. Remain at the assembly area until the all clear siren is heard. After the all clear siren has sounded, report to your supervisor. Remember, you must get a new work permit to resume and complete your job. If an evacuation of the plant was thought necessary and the main gate to and from the plant is inaccessible, you would evacuate through specially designated emergency gates at the perimeter fence. However, with your cooperation and adherence to our safety regulations, an occurrence like this should never happen. Due to the fact that most southern area operations plants and field sites are hydrocarbon facilities, there is always the risk that hydrogen sulfide could cause a threat to people's lives. You must ensure your full awareness of the hazards surrounding your work areas, because some of these areas contain hydrogen sulfide. When H2S concentrations have been detected at 10 parts per million or greater, all personnel in an affected area must wear approved respiratory equipment. No entry will be allowed where the atmosphere contains 100 parts per million or more. Exposures to lethal levels of H2S of 700 to 1,000 parts per million would result in rapid unconsciousness and termination of breathing. Within a few minutes, death would occur. Remember, all unsafe incidents or unsafe acts, no matter how small, must be immediately reported. A day's work is not finished until the housekeeping is done. Good job housekeeping is crucial to safety, health, and productivity. When a work area is dirty and cluttered, there is an increased risk for fire, falls, chemical exposure, and others. Employees who work in areas of poor housekeeping often lose a lot more than time involved performing regular housekeeping duties. You can work much more safely and efficiently if your work area or bench is free of clutter. A tidy work area is especially important when working at heights. Make sure your tools and materials are positioned so they cannot fall. Remember, a place for everything and everything in its place. Our safety vision at Southern Area Oil Operations is to complete each day incident and injury-free. Safety is our concern, and it is the responsibility of everyone.